Well, the time has come. One more Tinkle Olympic zone for the road. Um, yeah. But who knows? We have another Olympics, by the way. If you are keeping track, the 2022 Winter Olympics is coming up soon. Who knows what might happen? You know, we'll see. Obviously, it's right around Super Bowl time, so anything could happen.
I think it's right around probably is it right around Super Bowl time? I think it's probably
Pretty sure it is
January.
because
I think it starts in January.
keep in mind, NBC and CBS had a gentleman's agreement to switch last year because NBC was supposed to host the last Super Bowl, and they switched so that way CBS could have it and they could have the Olympics and the Super Bowl in the same time frame, which makes no sense because half their sports people have to go over to I believe it's Beijing for the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, February 4th through 20th. It will be in Beijing. On top of it, you're going to have half your broadcasters in Beijing, China. Assuming that this games isn't postponed. That's another thing you got to factor. But again, we're not going to dive into that. Just thought I'd point that out. But it's our last one for the summer. Brian and Jason here with you. Let's get right into things. I'm not going to tell you what's coming up. Just bear with us here. So the medal count as of Sunday night, U.S. has 59, but China holds the most gold medals, and they currently have 51 total. The Russian Olympic Committee holds 44, and if you're wondering why it's known as the Russian Olympic Committee, per usual, I guess, the Russians doped and got banned from the Olympics. The ones who didn't dope are allowed to compete, which is the right thing to do. Because you shouldn't punish a whole nation just for a couple bad eggs.
Right, I agree.
You know, I'm not at all a fan of the Russian Olympic teams, but, you know, I would hate to see someone who did the right thing get punished.
Yeah, it's weird to see U.S. I mean, yes, they have the highest medal count, but to seeing them not having as many gold compared to other years, that seems very odd to me.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just shocked it's not Japan that's up there higher.
Yeah. By the way, a fun little fact. Did you know that the medals from this Olympics are made from recycled smartphones such as these?
Huh, really?
Yeah, I read it the other day. I don't know if it's true. You can't trust anything you read on the internet nowadays. But
Nope.
just thought I'd throw that fun fact out there. You can look it up if you don't believe me, to the listeners. But, of course, pretty interesting little fact. I guess if any country's going to do it, I would expect Japan to do something that cool.
Yeah, I probably would too.
Yeah, but
I'm not really hoping that they can win more gold.
yeah. Well, they got soccer to look forward to. I think we'll of course break down what we think in a few minutes.
Probably soccer, golf.
I don't know. Golf
Basketball
was
is
just
kind
on. I
of a
missed
tough off. Basketball's a toss-up at this point.
it. Yeah. But anyway, Katie Ledecky, of course. Speaking of gold medals, she won the gold medal in the 1500 meter backstroke. You've got Kaylee McCown, I'm going to say. I hope I'm pronouncing it right again. From Australia. She's been a thorn in Katie Ledecky's backside this Olympics. She's won the 100 meter breaststroke, the freestyle for 100 meters, the 200 meter backstroke, and I believe she's medaled in quite a few others as well. So, it looks like we got an Australian swimmer that can compete with Katie Ledecky. So, something to watch here in the closing few days of the Olympics here.
who knows, in 2024 there might still be another battle and we have a new rivalry brewing up.
That could be interesting. And you know what? I'm glad to see someone challenging Katie Ledecky. Not that I don't want her to win, because obviously I do. She's on the U.S. Olympic team, and she's going to go down as one of the greatest swimmers of all time. But, you know, it's nice to see that the U.S. has a little bit of competition this year. I would
Yeah.
hate it to see Katie Ledecky mopping the floor with other Olympians.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I'm all in it for good competition. I don't like mopping the floor with teams when I'm coaching.
No.
Now, on the
Not
other
at all.
hand, if that team runs their mouth and acts like sore losers, I got no problem running the floor with them. So, just thought I'd throw that out there. But the other big news, we switched to the men's side. Of course, let's skip a few ahead here. Caleb Dressel is the first under 49 seconds in the men's 100-meter butterfly. And he's been probably the best men's swimmer. Of course, keep in mind you lost Michael Phelps. You lost Ryan Lochte. Ryan Lochte's probably still... I'm sorry, I'm not even going to make the joke. Scratch that. Act like I never said what I was winding up to say.
Yes,
So,
we all know, but we will not discuss that here.
yeah, no, I don't need to get in trouble for making jokes that are not appropriate. So,
But what we will say is that's
yeah.
a hell of a feat, especially in 100-meter butterfly. I mean, I unfortunately am not a swimmer, so I have no idea how far down the pool itself that is. I would assume butterfly is kind of like the,
Yeah,
going up and
something like
out
that.
of the water all
You
the
know,
time.
you know what's
So
funny is,
doing that in 49 seconds, I give you some freaking props, man. I tell you.
I took CPR and lifeguarding when I studied physical education, and I still don't remember half this stuff, so it's been that long, just for cross-reference there. But the big thing here, of course, another big thing is the Olympic relays. Of course, Australia has won the 100-meter freestyle relay. And if you're Zach Fitzwater, you're very happy because keep in mind, Fitzwater, the Australian in our Discord. So, of course, I'm sure he's a very happy man. China won the 200-meter freestyle relay. Again, Australia won the 100 one and the medley relay. So that's what's kind of going on in the swimming world right now. Of course, down in the softball thing, of course, we keep in mind softball has not been an Olympic sport since 2008 in Beijing. So this is the first time for baseball and softball since then. And the last time softball was an Olympic sport in 2008, it was a gold medal match between Japan and the U.S. in which Japan went on to win the gold medal. Same story like 13, 14 years later, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, 13 years later. That's right. So Japan wins 2-0. I'm not surprised. The Japanese teams, they produce some really good baseball and softball players. So I guess I can't say I'm surprised.
Oh, I'm not really surprised either. I mean, U.S. can't be good in everything.
Yeah, keep in mind, every single year, just keep this in mind. Obviously, we know about the Dominican Republic, Mexico. All those countries produce some great baseball players. Now, I know this doesn't pertain to softball, but it's a similar sport. So that's why I'm throwing it out there. Every year, players from other countries, such as those, are always brought into the MLB because they see just how good these guys are playing in the their National League teams. So I'm not surprised to see those teams do well. I'm not surprised to see Japan win. Congratulations to Japan in front of the hometown crowd. Well, not crowd because there's COVID regulations. I guess that's a poor term. But congratulations to them.
Home
They deserve
country.
home country. In front of the home country, they do it. I didn't get to watch the game, unfortunately. I feel terrible.
Yeah. If you want to feel any better, I really haven't been watching the Olympics.
It's okay. We're still here. We're giving the news. We're reading on the highlights. We're constantly checking on things, even though we might not be watching because it's 13 hours ahead. We could go all night.
Sorry, no offense. I ain't waking up at like 3, maybe even 1 in the morning to watch an Olympic sport or basketball or see, I don't know, any sport in that matter. What I will do is watch it when it's at least convenient to me.
Use
And
the DVR.
hey, I do, but sorry.
No, I was just throwing that suggestion out there. But,
Yeah, I guess so.
can I also, actually, I did forget to add a story on here, by the way, before we go on to U.S. baseball and before I lose track of what I was going to say. So, one of the female volleyball players, keep in mind, so women's volleyball, you're supposed to wear bikini bottoms, a bikini top. Many label this as sexist. We're not going to get into that discussion today. So one country, I forget the name of it. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, the Norwegian team. Now keep in mind, they've made a statement. They wore full body suits just about, and kind of the short cutoff, like right where the kneecaps are, if I'm not mistaken. So, of course, they will be facing fines from the Olympic Committee for failing to meet uniform regulations. So, the singer-songwriter Pink has offered to pay their fines for not wearing their uniforms that they're supposed to wear, and I gotta say, this is awesome to hear, honestly.
Yeah, that is awesome to hear. Now the question is, the thing is why would you want to wear a full body swimsuit, especially playing volleyball? You know how skin tight those are. You know how hard it is to move in them. Why the heck would you want to wear those playing volleyball? You have like absolutely no movement, because volleyball is all about movement and setting up.
Beach volleyball, nonetheless.
Yeah, well, I know.
But
I knew what you were talking about.
see,
It would be better just to have the swimsuit or the bikini in a top, because then you have a lot more movement and can set up, your teammate for a spike, the score,
yeah.
anything.
Here's why. Men are pigs, and we're men, so we can speak from experience that we are pigs. And, yeah, I think I'd rather, if I were in their shoes, keep in mind Lily from AT&T as well had to do this. She had to hide behind a desk because of sexist comments from disgusting men who can't keep their mouths shut. So actually,
Right.
I guess we are going to dive into this today. But, that's part of why we're here. So sexist, comments such, I'm not even going to give examples, just, and frankly, I don't blame them, When you got men that are being pigs, something's got to be done. And, I think that certainly this is something that the Olympic Committee should consider in a day and age where obviously we have the Me Too movement, we have all that. Not trying to get political with it, but, I think they should consider the uniform change, and I think that's something to look at in the future. I'm assuming Jason's looking that up.
No, I was not.
Okay.
Sorry. What were you saying? I mean,
Well, on that note, let's move on. Now we got Olympic baseball. So the U.S. opened the Olympic baseball with an 8-1 victory, and then they doubled down on Saturday. They won 4-2 against South Korea. I
Hmm.
think it's blatantly obvious that right now they're the favorites, but I don't want to give them the full title of favorites.
Well, they're definitely moving and chugging along a lot better than the women's softball team is.
No, the women's softball did fine until they got to the finals. That's where they fell apart.
Yeah, because you're going up against a team that, is in their in their, you know, backfield basically.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, those are dominant wins. Aren't I mean maybe not the
The
most
second
dominant
one was a
wins.
little more competitive.
Yeah, that was a
The
little bit
first
more
one
competitive.
was
It was just a beatdown.
no, not
Um,
necessarily. But it was a big gap, I guess is the way to put it.
yes,
Um,
yes, I will. Um,
so
are they the favorite? It's tough to tell. I will say that they'll probably be in the finals fighting for gold, but if I was to make a prediction early, I say they'll probably fall and win silver.
I was gonna say with an asterisk that they're the favorite, but I think that's a poor way to put it because I would assume cheating. And I don't want to assume cheating at all because they're not the Houston Astros that I know of. But
Hey man, they might have some Astro players that you don't know
they got
about.
the trash cans. No, no. So I think they're the favorites. I'm cautiously optimistic about it because they always seem to look good. They always seem to get rolling, and then when they play Cuba or Canada or Japan, doesn't matter who they get to the finals with, they can't seem to close out the deal, and that's including the international baseball tour, kind of like FIBA for basketball.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know the name of it. If you guys know it, please let me know. But they just always seem to have a roadblock, and I just hope that this time there is no roadblock. But you know, time will tell, I guess. Um, Moving on to gymnastics, of course, we talked about this on Tinkle Sports Talk on
Hmm.
Sunday. And Simone Biles, she has withdrawn from some more events. This is the follow up story to that. Of course, I believe there's only 2 more events she can return for. So I guess the big question here is, does she return? Is she going to be mentally ready to return?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure their vault and uneven bars are the two events that she can
Yeah.
return for. Um, Rumor had it that she was going to be back for it. Of course, that's just rumor. I think she'll be ready for it. I just think that she had to take some time away and get herself back together. But with her keep on withdrawing from more and more events, does not seem very promising for her moving forward. I think she's just done for the rest of the Olympics, to be honest. And it's sad to see it happen. It really
You
is.
hate to see it just because you know she's going to go down as the greatest.
Right.
And let's face it, she's 24 years old. I know we talked about the 46-year-old Olympian in
Yeah.
gymnastics earlier, but I just don't foresee her playing in 2024. If she does go to the 2024 Olympics, it would shock me because by then she's going to be 27 years old. Now keep in
Hmm.
mind, not Michaela Maroney, oh my gosh, Allie Raisman. Of course, she was an Olympian in her mid to late 20s, and I wouldn't rule it out, but I would say it's highly unlikely. I don't think she's going to return the rest of this Olympics because,
I don't think she's gonna return for the rest of this Olympics, but it's gonna eat away at her inside, and she's gonna be like, you know what? I don't know how I can, if I can say that, because of everything that happened with, being out and taking care of your mental health, it might make her want to come back and be like, hey, you know what? In
Mhm.
2024, I'm going to be back
Yeah.
mentally prepared, mentally better, physically better. I'm
Mhm.
going to be in the best shape mentally and physically, and I'm gonna go for as much goal as I can.
Yeah.
So I think she'll be back. You can't just end this Olympic run and be
See,
like, I'm okay with exactly what happened. Yes,
yeah.
she can be. She can be because she did what was right for her.
Yeah.
But as an athlete, I'm talking about the athlete, not as like a human being. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the athlete aspect. As the athlete aspect, which I'm sure is eating her alive, not being out there, it's gonna fuel the fire for another Olympic appearance.
Yeah.
Now,
I
the human being aspect of her is like, you're doing the right thing. You should just,
yeah, but
kind of
deep
give it up
inside,
type of thing.
deep
So,
inside, with all this anxiety that she's dealing with all this stuff she's dealing with, you can't help but figure that she's just sitting there thinking, am I making the right choice? Am I letting my team down by not being out there? Am I letting my country down? Now, I mean, she's had that support. I mean, I'm just
yeah.
speaking from personal experience. And as well, you mentioned that the athlete part of it, this is not the way she's going to want to go out, I don't
No,
think.
exactly.
You know, you played basketball. I played. I've coached. There are games I sit there and there are things I regret. And there are things I wish I could go back and change. I'm not saying that she's going to regret dropping out of this Olympics necessarily. Because, again, she made the right choice for herself. But there's
Hmm.
no doubt if she's not able to return for the 2024 Olympics or she just doesn't qualify, which I don't foresee happening because she's one of the best. But assuming she doesn't qualify for the Olympics, that's number one. Um,
Right.
you know, as a coach, again, there are nights that I lose sleep over losses. There are nights I sit there and I think, what could I have done better? Could I have not called the timeout? Could I have gone with the press a little sooner? There's going to be things that she's going to sit here regretting, I think, more than anything, especially because this is probably the biggest stage in her life. I mean,
Hmm.
she'll get a lot of endorsement deals. She'll probably become an analyst for gymnastics, maybe if NBC brings her in. Um, but there's always going to be that one thing that's going to weigh on her, I think, in the future. I'm not saying to rush back because of that,
Yeah.
but I'm saying, you know, she's gonna, if she doesn't make it in 2024, she's gonna always have to live with the what if.
I know,
And it's,
exactly. And that's always the one thing that plays a lot of people's mind. Well, what if I actually was there? Would I have helped us win gold more? Or
yeah.
what if I,
Would I have gone down as a
didn't,
more decorated Olympian is the bigger
right,
question, you know. But,
which definitely sucks for her.
yeah,
But hopefully her teammates that actually, know, did medal in other
yeah,
finals definitely might bring a more of a smile to her face because, hey, maybe I wasn't out there, but at least my teammates went out there and did a really good job and, made their country proud. Yeah, I
yeah,
couldn't have done it myself, but at least they went out there and, you know, took the bulk of the load for me while I was just
yeah,
there supporting them the whole time.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, even if she doesn't return, ever, not just for this Olympics, but ever,
Yeah.
there's two things that she can hang her head high on. One is that everyone's going to regard her as probably one of the greatest Olympic gymnasts of all time. I
Hmm.
think there's no doubt on that, or very little doubt, if that. And
Right.
then, of course, number two, the other thing she can hang her head high on is the fact that Team USA Gymnastics is in great shape.
Hmm.
They've got Michaela Skinner. She's still kind of young. I believe she's actually my age, so she might not be back for the next Olympics. But, you got Suni Lee as well. They both medaled in vault and uneven bars with, of course, Simone Biles in the crowd cheering them on. So I think she can definitely hang her head high on the fact that they're in good shape with or without her.
Yeah.
I know how I said it sounds bad, but I mean it like when she actually does hang it up.
And for anybody that didn't listen or watch or listen to the main episodes of our podcast, not this is kind of like a separate thing.
Yeah.
We also discussed how a possibility of her eventually coaching the gymnastics team could be a possibility, and I think I would be totally all for it. I know Brian is all for it.
We all know they need a culture change. Okay?
Yes, they do.
They've done a good job since the Larry Nassar thing, of course, if you recall that. But they need to, she would be a part of a great culture change for Team USA women's gymnastics, just on that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to dive too deep into it. Most of you know what happened with Larry Nassar. But anyway, moving forward here, we got U.S. soccer, of course. We don't have any highlights, so we're just going to tell you the facts because we're recording on Sunday. The semis were yesterday. Technically, as you're watching this, they were yesterday. Women's Canada matchup, U.S. versus Canada, and then Sweden versus Australia. I'm not even going to make any predictions just because we know it's going to happen when we're not watching, basically. Or when we're recording. So, just so I throw that out there. And then, of course, the men's side, it's Mexico versus Brazil, Japan versus Spain. We'll talk about that, hopefully, on Sunday on Tinkle Sports Talk.
Definitely.
Yeah, of course, that'll be the final episode where we actually talk anything Olympics, but we'll dive into all that soon here. Maybe we'll do something on Facebook or Instagram. Who knows?
Possibly.
But on to basketball now, the final sport we're going to talk about here today. Man, a short episode, but not much really to talk about. There's so much Olympic sports, I just can't. We'd be here all day researching stuff.
Yes.
So we're sticking to the main sports, of course. USA versus Spain in the quarterfinals. That was Monday. Again, I was worried about a matchup with Spain, but, if you recall last week's episode of Olympic Zone, I said U.S. needs to beat Iran, and they need to beat them bad. 120-66 was that final. We recapped that on Sports Talk, so go over and check that out. Then, of course, right after we recorded on Saturday, they beat the Czech Republic, and they beat them pretty bad in that one, too. It was like a 35-point deficit. So I can't help but say that they've regained form. And even if they didn't beat Spain, I think they have something to build off of.
Yes, they are regaining form. But Spain is looking pretty hot right now. And like I said before, I said the three teams to beat that would be the medalers would be U.S., Spain, and Slovenia.
Yeah.
And so far, from what I've been saying and what I've been seeing, I've been right so far.
Yeah, now if this was the 2016 Olympic men's team coached by Coach K and Jim Boeheim.
Oh, then USA would have wiped the floor.
I would tell you right here and right now, after that argument in favor of Slovenia, I would have told you they don't have a shot in hell of beating that team. I would have said Slovenia because Luka Doncic would have gotten the floor mopped with his head right there.
And that was also 2 years before he got drafted too.
Yeah. But of course, this is different times now. So, to be honest, U.S. is now facing their toughest battle. Of course, Spain has Paul and Marc Gasol. They have a bunch of others that are returning as well. Let's take a look at this.
They have Spain has Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, they have Ricky Rubio. Of course, Rudy Fernandez. Let's see. They got a bunch of international players, but of course, Marc Gasol, Paul Gasol, two big ones. Of course, Ricky Rubio as well. And keep in mind, Ricky Rubio was just dealt, I believe, wasn't he? In the NBA.
Yes. Yeah, Ricky Rubio was dealt to the Hawks, I think.
Something like that.
Hold up, I'll figure this out. I can let you know in like 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not really 2 seconds, but you know what I mean. Okay, no, he got sent to the Cavs. Ricky Rubio is now a Cavalier.
Yeah, so, man, he gets traded and he's not even in the States to say anything.
I know.
Man, could you imagine if he was on the court and then he went to the sidelines for a break and his coach is like, "Oh, by the way, you just got traded."
No, see, the thing is that speaking of men's basketball and free agency, I'll talk about this because it kind of ties into Olympic sports. Now, Evan Fournier and Nicolas Batum, who are still, actually, I think Nicolas Batum is also a Spaniard as well too. Nicolas Batum and Evan Fournier are in Japan right now, and free agency starts the day before this episode airs, which, I won't go too deep into it. But I will say this now, because I don't know, they're probably not going to be the first ones off. They are Japan. They are also upcoming free agents. So whatever happens in free agency, they have to find out in Japan, not in the States.
Unless they wait till they get back to sign any deals. That's the other thing, or verbally agree.
Well, they can agree to contracts. They cannot officially make them. They can't make them official until later in the week.
Yeah. So see, this is the problem.
If anybody remembers about Deandre Jordan, in the past, he was all set. Oh, I'm going to sign with the Dallas Mavericks. Then because of everything, because, the contracts aren't finalized. Then you remember everybody, he re-signs with the Los Angeles Clippers because they locked him inside his own house with no way of any other team getting contact with him. And then he signs the contract and re-signs with the Los Angeles Clippers, which I'm sure they were totally regretting that afterwards, but some side notes there.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. But again, don't blame the Olympics for this. Blame the NBA for dragging the season out so long. I mean, we knew it was going to happen, but I feel bad for those players in the Olympics right now because they're basically going to come back. They don't even have an off season. It's back to work the second they get to the States.
Yep.
So
because training camps. Training camps in summer league start? Yeah. Start very soon, actually.
I think this week. But
Yeah, I think you're right.
This is just I'm telling you, and I know this is an Olympic show, but I'm predicting this right now because of the Olympics. We're going to see a very big uptick in injuries next season, definitely to start out.
Yeah,
I think
especially from the guys that are going to come back.
Yeah.
Especially with playing as much of these Olympic games as they have been.
Yeah.
I know we didn't have this written down, but a cool feat, KD is now the reigning
he's the all-time
point
scorer.
He is past Carmelo Anthony in the most points scored as an Olympic basketball player.
Imagine if they brought in Carmelo with Kevin Durant, All I'm going to say right there.
I am shocked that Carmelo didn't decide to play this year for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Um, of course, he's also
Hmm.
a pending free agent this
Yeah.
year,
Very well could go to
but
the Lakers.
who knows? Who
But
knows? We'll find that all out in due time.
yeah.
The one thing I was definitely shocked about to see Slovenia, man. Luka Doncic has been on fire.
Hmm.
But did you expect anything less from Luka Doncic, who played for FIFA basketball
Well,
back in his
FIBA.
day, in his early
Yep.
day,
But yeah.
or
I,
FIBA, whatever it is?
I think he's just got a chip on his shoulder. That's what I think's going on right now, is that he didn't win the NBA Finals, so now he didn't even get out of the first round, so he's got the chip on his shoulder to prove that, okay, if I can't win this, I'm going to win a gold medal, you know? And he probably sat there and said, you guys are with me or you're against me. I mean, you can't get traded off your Olympic team, so,
Mm-hmm.
and not to mention he's taking what he learned in the States and he's bringing it to FIBA. Of course, keep in mind, the NBA and what happens with FIBA regulated competition, of course, even though this isn't FIBA, it's the Olympics, but it is FIBA regulated. Um,
Right.
you know, keep in mind, obviously, two totally different games that are being played, which is
I
why
mean,
Pop is struggling.
I hate to say it, it's not even a contest.
Hmm.
I mean, Luka Doncic has been doing this since he's 13 years old. He is currently 22,
Yeah.
about to turn 23. So he's been doing it about almost 10 years by now. The man is used to it. He ain't breaking a dang sweat right now.
Yeah.
You know, you could say, yeah, he's basically putting the team on his back. Oh, so what if he is? He's 22 years old. He's young. Cut him
Hmm.
some slack. Um, while I say he can go out there and win gold, very well could. Very well could. It would be the first time Slovenia would ever get any kind of sort of gold or a medal, let alone. And this is actually the first time we've even talked about. This is the first time Slovenia has even gotten um, a chance to clinch,
Hmm.
Olympic spot. Um,
Again,
so to get as far as they are to be undefeated
yeah.
is a hell of a lot more than they've ever have
See,
as a country. So Luka
again,
Doncic is definitely doing something right.
I don't want to hate on Luca, obviously, but I'm just going to say, my honest prediction here is the U.S. is still. I don't think they're the team to beat. I would say Spain is the team to beat until someone beats them.
Yeah.
I think that's very fair to say because Spain has won silver in the last few Olympics. And let's face it, the U.S. is down on their luck outside of the few pretty big wins that they just won. So,
I'm probably
uh,
gonna say between Spain and Slovenia is probably going to be the fight for
yeah,
gold. US, I think, is gonna get bronze, to be honest.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
of course,
First off, it wouldn't shock me. Um, and we don't know we don't know, the details
yeah,
as we were recording
yeah.
today. We do not know any details, so we cannot really um
See,
give any details about that. But
hmm,
it just would not shock me if US was to get knocked out,
hmm,
not even get any contention to
hmm,
fight for gold or silver.
yeah.
So,
So, I'm going to be honest here with my final prediction before we move on. Um, if they medal, now here's the thing: if they go silver, they've overachieved. If they go
mhm.
gold, they big time overachieved. Okay, I think everybody's expecting a bronze. But I will tell you that I think if they don't get a bronze in this Olympics, I can see them moving on from Popovich.
Mhm.
And personally I would, just because the US is expected to medal in basketball. Not to mention they're expected to be gold medal. Now obviously this season's a little different. This Olympics is just a little different, but I think it'd be time. And here's the thing. I think, and I've said Eric Spoelstra should be the guy. But I'm going to be honest, the way I've watched, and keep in mind, Spoelstra is on this coaching staff. So he is just as equally responsible as Greg Popovich is. Same with all the other assistants.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to go back to having a college coach in the Olympics, because college and FIBA rules are pretty similar, whereas the NBA is a little different. I think, you have Tony Bennett coach the team. Maybe it's Tony Bennett. Maybe it's that coach at Villanova. I think you should consider one of them to allow to coach the U.S. men's team.
Mm-hmm.
You can have NBA assistants, which wouldn't be a bad idea, because the NBA assistants with the college coach, you saw it with Coach K and Boeheim. They had Mike D'Antoni and others on the sidelines, and it managed the egos very well. I think you have, I think it's Jay Wright I'm going for, or even Bill Self. Jay Wright, Bill Self, or Tony Bennett. And no, I don't mean the singer. I think you have one of those three coach, have Spoelstra as an assistant, you have Mike D'Antoni as an assistant. I think you could go back to gold glory. I think you can go back to undisputed champs in the Olympics in 2024.
I think so too. Well, I also think that, too bad it can't be like somebody of like a Juwan Howard type of situation or something like that.
I don't trust Juwan, be honest.
Or
there
was like another guy that was tied into an NBA team that was in college but declined. I think it was really good, but they have options, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
See, they definitely do. Even if they had Mike Hopkins as an assistant, although I don't think he's under any consideration for an assistant job, because let's face it, his tenure with the Huskies or the Washington Huskies has been atrocious since his extension. But as Jason looks up that name, let's move forward just briefly. Of course, the women faced France very early yesterday morning. They are clearly the team to beat. I believe Gino is still the head coach of the U.S. women's team. You could tell how much we've been paying attention, which is sad considering this is an Olympic show. We should be. But I think the women's team is really, really talented enough to win it.
I think so. Brittany Griner is a hell of a women's basketball player, so
yeah.
I still think that Candace Parker should be there. Yeah, I know she's probably one of those players that I want to have an off season, so I decided to not, go and do it.
Understand why.
And I understand it. I really do. Hopefully she's there in 2024. Her and Brittany Griner, I think, would make a tremendous pair. I still don't think you would stop them, to be honest.
And I'll tell you what, I'm making a bold prediction right now for 2024. I think Paige Buchers is going to be on the team in 2024.
Can you imagine having the three of them?
Paige Buchers, Brianna Stewart. It's going to be a Husky overload over there, I think. Because you're going to have Paige Buchers, you're going to have Brianna Stewart, I'm sure. So I think you're going to have those two pair up. Two of the greatest UConn players. Well,
I was about to say, if you want to have anybody pairing up on that women's team, you want to do UConn Huskies women's basketball or former women's basketball players, because they've just been so dominant for so long in women's college basketball. Anyway, so who wouldn't want to freaking load up on that kind of talent?
Exactly. We'll of course see what happens with the women's, and of course again, our final time we'll talk about the Olympics is on Tinkle Sports Talk this Sunday. Of course, amongst many other stories we're going to talk about. And with that, here's our programming note. Of course, I'll start with Tinkle Sports Talk. Of course, this Sunday, August 8th at 9 a.m. Eastern. It'll be our final episode before our summer break. We'll be back then on September 8th with our NFL kickoff show. And then that'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern on all platforms. And then, of course, we'll return with our actual show September 12th at 9 a.m. Eastern on all platforms. But, of course, one other note, of course, this show, keep in mind, this show has preempted Out of Turn 4, which is normally on this network at this time. Mm-hmm. Out of Turn 4 will return next Tuesday. It'll still go through the summer just because racing is still going. And, of course, we're getting big time into the silly season rumors because unlike ball and stick sports, free agency decisions are made mid-season in NASCAR, in IndyCar, and Formula One. So that's why we're continuing. There's just so much news to cover there. We'll be back on Tuesday, 8:10. By the way, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I might be the only guy who's covering racing on YouTube of the big guys like Jack Krause. No offense to those guys. They do an incredible job. Eric Estep. I think I'm the only one that's actually going to the Watkins Glen race. So if you want any feedback on the Watkins Glen race, talk to the guy who was there.
I was about to say, you want to talk to this guy.
Yeah. So,
like the host.
Yeah. But hey, enough of that. But yeah, hopefully we'll have some good news on the Olympic basketball when we return this Sunday, though. Jason, thanks for joining me these past 2 Tuesdays.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. Now we can sign off here, and we'll be back with... Oh, wait. You got something.
I was about to say, I think you forgot something. Brian and I will do occasional updates on certain stuff. I'm going to try to discuss NBA free agency as, when you start watching this, it has gone on already. And probably a lot of the big names have already gone off the board. Of course, I'm not going to delve too deep into it.
Yeah,
but
so he'll probably be on Facebook.
If you're big into basketball, you definitely know who those might be.
Yeah, so be sure to follow our socials. I've got to update the description of the video, by the way, because it still says SCN Unloaded. We will get that fixed, I promise you. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We'll have a lot of video updates over there. And, of course, we'll be sharing a lot of news stories. By the way, our thoughts and prayers with that Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs player. Off topic here, of course. A very scary situation at the Rochester Red Wings game on Saturday. A player collapsed. They canceled the games over the weekend. Thoughts and prayers to that player who had to go into the operating room on Saturday. If you don't know the story, I'm sure if you look up Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, it'll show you the story. But our thoughts and prayers with him. We want to thank you for watching, and we will be back on Sunday with Tinkle Sports Talk. Until then, goodbye, everyone.